What's up, everybody? This is Soccer Dave, aka David Kitchen, joined by fellow DraftKings pros, Al Zeidenfeld. You might know him as the Smiz or Al Smizzle. And then Peter Jennings, aka CSU Ram 88. Guys, we got a big tournament, but first I want to know, how are you?
I'm doing fine, Dave. Happy to be at my house. Been traveling a little bit, but getting ready for this 500K sweet spot tomorrow, and it's going to look like a pretty tasty slate we got cooking.
Definitely. Pete?
Same here. Really excited for tomorrow. The game said there's good games going on today as well. So pretty exciting time here with the baseball season cooking, and really enjoyed the Masters too, especially with all the tournaments and whatnot on DraftKings.
Yeah, the Masters. Did you guys have any Spieth?
I had a good amount.
Some Spieth.
Not enough, though.
I didn't have all the Spieth.
All the Spieth would have been preferable for sure. Definitely better than none of the Spieth. All right, so we have the 500K sweet spot going on, and $27 entry fee, $50,000 top prize, and over 4,000 teams get paid. I think it's like 4,350 teams get paid. So that's like almost like 20%, right?
I mean, I love the payout structure in this tournament. I mean, if you look at it, it's it's 1/10 of the prize pool to first. I believe that it's 5K to 10th. Am I wrong, or is it 5K to 8th? It's somewhere in there is the payout tree. So really kind of a flat payout, a lot of money up top for you to chase after, but not all of the money. So, if it's not one of those first place or bust tournaments, you can enter it and really have a positive expectation to win some money. So I'm really excited for this tournament coming up, because I really like the way that the payout tree looks.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the flat payouts as well. And obviously this is a great chance for someone to turn a small amount of money into a lot of money as well. So should be a lot of fun, and huge slate, which makes it perfect.
I mean, definitely when you're talking about 25th place still gets $1,000.
Yeah.
That's nice. And like you said, Al, 8th place, 7th and 8th place, you get 5,000, which is really nice. First 50, second 30, third 20K, fourth 15K, and fifth even at 10K. So five-figure prizes, which is pretty nice. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about the season. So we've got about a week under our belts. Let's talk about storylines as far as how do you think that the season has gone so far? Pete, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, it's been a great season so far. My Rockies are 4-2. They lost a close one yesterday, but they're doing well. The Braves are kind of a surprise as well, with everyone thinking they're going to be terrible to start the year. Kansas City also starting off really well, but still got the aces out there. It's really fun to see some of these guys, some of the superstars, Mike Trout, Bryce Harper coming on. So it's been a fun season so far, and just looking forward to the rest of the summer.
Alvin?
I mean, offense looks like it's a little bit down, but that was a little bit to be expected. The games have picked up pace, except for Yankees versus Red Sox, which always is just going to be a long game. It's interesting to see some of the teams, like Peter was saying, that have come through early that people aren't used to. Atlanta was supposed to be one of the worst offenses in baseball, and they're clicking right now. That may or may not be sustainable, but it's working right now. Also, what we think about the Padres may have to change versus left-handed pitching, because they've bought some right-handed bats. They brought them in over the offseason, and they've shown that they can put it together a little bit from one game to the next, beating up Bumgarner the other night. And while they may have their home runs muted kind of across the board from playing in Petco, they can sure rack up a lot of doubles and singles and put up a lot of runs over the course of a game.
Definitely. And, it's interesting when you talk about that. They've been going up against, I guess it was Mad Bum the other night. But you also have had some stud pitchers that have not looked so studly. And we always talk about payout for pitching. We'll talk about kind of strategies in a second, but it's definitely been something that I think has stuck out over the first week, is that a lot of the higher priced pitchers just have not performed well. You know who has performed well other than the Braves? Everybody here in the Southeast was just like, before the season started, just going nuts about the Braves dismantling their teams, and now they're 5-1. They eventually lost one yesterday, but you also have the Tigers that are just crushing, and the Royals. Both of them are 6-0. So that is definitely something to look out for. I like the Royals. I just like kind of the whole small market team. But I also like the Tigers because of David Price. So what are you going to do?
You apparently also like the Cubs too because of that hat.
Yeah, like I've always liked the Cubs. I purposely did not say anything about the Cubs as far as storyline for the first week of the season because I don't want to jinx or just really say this is our year or next year or whatever.
You're just waiting till about the 18th to make any designations on what you're going to say about the Cubs, right?
I'm waiting till like the All-Star break, really, to say.
I thought it was waiting for Chris Bryant to get called up.
Oh yeah. Chris Bryant's going to be definitely a big boost when he gets called up. All right, let's talk about tournament strategies versus cash strategy. When people play cash, it's generally safer. So, Pete, as far as tournament strategies go, what would be one single tip that you would give somebody?
Yeah, I think there's just a lot more merit to being contrarian in a tournament than there is in cash, more so in baseball than any other sport. So you can take risks on guys who might not be at the top of the order. You can take lower batter guys, which I don't do at all really in cash games, but definitely more merit in tournaments where having a unique player is really valuable. And you're really just chasing the big events in tournaments more so than anything. You're chasing the home runs, steals, and strikeouts for the pitchers. So I would just do your best to do everything you can to make more contrarian lineups. And in addition to that, chase the big events.
Alvin?
I'm going to say let's take two positions and cross off the top guys. We're going to take, if you want to make a better tournament lineup, may not, if you're a single bullet guy or if you're a multi-entry guy, cross off the top 3 first basemen, cross off the top 5 or 6 outfielders off your list, and then pick the best guys in the best matchups from there. So that you can force yourself to be a little contrarian while still picking guys that are in good spots.
Yeah, definitely. And I hear what you guys are saying about contrarian. I think it's a big thing as far as tournaments go. And I think you could also apply that to the whole stacking issue and pick a team that maybe someone is not high on, but you think could produce some runs and get 6 guys from that team and put them in a lineup. I know someone that did that yesterday with Tigers, and they ended up placing second for $500. It was a $2 entry, but that was their only team. And they went, they did a little bit of a contrarian stack, but with bats that they knew could go off. And sure enough, it paid off. So the thing about the stacks, though, is you got to get the other two, at least 2 positions right. And you also have to get the pitching right to win these tournaments. Otherwise, what are you going to do? All right. So let's move on to studs to watch for.
Yeah, I think. Or go ahead.
You want to go, Pete? Go for it.
I was just going to say Harvey's my boy. I think he's the absolute man. That's someone that I'm going to have a lot of exposure to tomorrow. I think he's one of the best pitchers in baseball, and he certainly looked great in his first start. So I'm definitely all over him. In addition to that, the stud that I'm always going to have in my lineup, at least some exposure to.
Here we go.
Troy Tulowitzki.
Oh, Peter.
I hope he's 7K tomorrow.
Peter.
It won't be that expensive because he's not in Coors Field, and Troy Tulowitzki is going to hit a home run. So hire him in.
Yeah, Troy let me down so hard on Saturday night, and I'm sorry you had to hear it, Peter, but I trashed him.
Did he have 2 hits that game, and he just didn't get a hit when you needed it?
He didn't he also didn't sprint, and
that's on purpose. He can't.
I know, and I don't know. Just give me. I should have just played Starlin Castro. I knew better than to go with Tulo. That's on me.
Don't listen to Dave. Play all the Tulowitzki.
I'm just saying he let me down big time Saturday night, and both of you guys were there to witness me complaining the whole night about it. So, Al, stud player from you?
I'm going to go with – I'm not going to pick one here. I'm going to ride the fence a little bit, Dave. And I'm going to say a couple of the power bats from the Blue Jays at home against Mike Andriese. Is it Mike or Matt? It's Matt Andriese, isn't it? Yeah. In his first start this year for the Tampa Bay Rays. Pitching in Rogers Center, not a great pitching environment. Bad park bump, reverse park bump for him. Blue Jays way better at hitting at home. I think that they have a chance to knock this rookie around a little bit.
And that's the thing, is how do you balance the studs with some of these unknown pitchers? We saw on Saturday night a few unknown pitchers like do well, and you've got Andresi and a few other rookies. So Pete, how do you balance lineups with some of these unknown guys, as far as you more likely to basically play against them?
Yeah, I'm going to see what Vegas has to say about these pitchers. They're going to have some inclination. I'll look at a little bit of stats that I can find, maybe minor league stats. But for the most part, I'm probably going to attack them. It's tough to come into the majors and do well right off the bat. I'm going to attack them, especially in situations where they're in a good hitter's park like Toronto. So I will definitely have exposure against a lot of these guys, hoping that one of them really blows up and gives up a bunch of runs.
Yeah, and sometimes that's what baseball is about, is not just your offensive, not just your batters going off, but really targeting hopefully a pitcher that just implodes. So can definitely see that. All right, sleepers to watch for tomorrow, Al.
I'm going to say it's going to be a couple of the pitchers, to be honest with you. I mean, a lot of people are going to be on Harvey, but we've got a lot of guys that are pitching here that have good K potential, but don't have really big names, and therefore I don't expect them to have extremely high salaries. Now, we don't have the salary sheet just yet. It hasn't come out. So I'm looking at guys that can possibly put together a solid game, like Despaigne, like the rookie on the Blue Jays, Norris, like Carrasco, who should have salaries somewhere between 6 and 9K to allow you to afford a couple of other, one more big bat at the very least. And if they're under 7,500, it allows you to maybe build a couple of teams and pair some hitters from one team together and go with two pitchers that might only cost you about 15K, as opposed to the usual 17, 18 to 20K that we're looking for usually to spend on our pitching. So there might be some pretty good values along the pitcher line tomorrow that I'm going to be looking to target through a bunch of my lineups.
Yeah, like you said, we don't have pitcher prices yet. I'm interested in where Sabathia is. Pete, do you think that he is finished? Do you think he's washed up? Like, at what price would you consider putting him out there?
I'm not going to consider him at all tomorrow, regardless of price, in Baltimore. Just hasn't looked really the same for a couple of years now. I mean, his velocity's really, tapered down. Definitely was a great pitcher, in his prime, but at this point, he's definitely past it. You can see it with the velocity and the movement on his pitches. So I'm not a huge fan of his, and I actually will be I'll be pairing players from Baltimore against him tomorrow. So I am off the CC train and more likely to pair a lot of Baltimore batters together against him than to take CC Sabathia himself.
Yeah, I think that'd probably be the prevailing sentiment, as far as if you had to choose tomorrow between throwing CC Sabathia out there or pairing some Baltimore right-handed bats, you'd probably go with the right-handed bats, right, Al?
So much right-handed power on that team, too.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got a couple of lefties throughout it, but like Machado's a doubles machine. You've obviously got Adam Jones. You've got Pierce. There's just right-handed power up and down the lineup, all the way down to like Scope, who hits 8th or 9th. It's going to be very interesting to see what type of bats we get from this lineup. And like CC Sabathia is going to throw a gem at some point. He's going to, and you're going to see all the articles of, oh, CC Sabathia is back. Oh, he threw 7 innings with 9 Ks. He's totally back. He's right back in form. I don't think it's going to be tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Last question before we get to predictions. Iwakuma, do you think he's hurt, Pete?
I was just looking at his velocity. Something's a little bit off. If velocity is not too far down, I'm definitely going to continue to monitor that. When I'm trying to evaluate how someone's feeling or if they're hurt, especially for a pitcher, the number one thing I'm looking at is their velocity. The range is somewhat similar. There are some lower pitches for his fastball that not in his normal range, but he was still hitting in the mid 90s at certain spots and the low 90s as well. So I'll wait for a couple more starts to definitively say, but something doesn't appear right to me.
Yeah, Al?
Yeah, I'm right there with Pete on this one. It's like the first thing I look at for hitters when I think that they're hurt or not performing is I look at their BABIP and I look at their ground ball percentage to see if those are in line with what their career rates are. For pitchers, you look at their velocity. Have they lost a couple of miles per hour on their fastball? Are they not using certain pitchers, like pitches that they've used before? You can look at their pitch effects. Some guys throw a slider and then all of a sudden they stop throwing it, or they throw a certain pitch way more percentage-wise than they have in years past. And we can see the velo drop early in April usually, because they either haven't gotten fully into shape or they just can't get up to where they were the season before after the offseason. So typically I avoid guys who have seen a velocity drop, and I target pitchers to use who have seen a rise in velocity, 2-3 more miles per hour. They picked up a little bit of velocity over the offseason for one reason or the other. Sometimes that's unpredictable, but it's definitely something that's trackable, and it's also something that we can use to be predictive for future events.
Yeah, and also if you think a pitcher could be hurt, or like I think he's like day to day, you think there might be some velocity issues, and also really just a chance for that pitcher to not do well at all. You have to look for maybe some opposing, like they're playing the Mariners are playing the Dodgers tomorrow. So maybe you look for like Adrian Gonzalez as a stud you want to pay up for, or maybe that's too chalky. Al, is that you think that's going to be a contrarian enough to go for Adrian Gonzalez?
I mean, look, in a big enough tournament like this, I don't see anybody being 40 or 50% owned. So to me, everybody's going to be in play. I mean, the maximum batter, the maximum percentage owned on a batter tomorrow will be what? I mean, let's just make a hypothesis here. What do you think the highest owned batter is going to be? I think it's going to be around 27.5%.
I was going to say 28. I promise. Bam. I was going to say 28%. Pete, what about you?
I was thinking 30, so we're all on the same page. I mean, if there's someone super cheap leading off,
you're way off, Pete. You are way.
You're off the reservation.
2% is massive.
So basically, I don't know that you have to if you think that a player is a good play, you can play them at those percentages. Now, if somebody was going to be 40 or 45 or 50, yeah, it suggests fading him. But if the max guy that we project, whoever the number one hitter that we think everybody's going to have, whether it's somebody on Toronto, somebody on the Orioles, or Adrian Gonzalez, who's been so hot at the beginning of the season, if we project their maximum percentage to be about 27 to 30%, I don't know that you have to fade them.
All right. Predictions for tomorrow. Really, we don't have salaries, but we have kind of previewed the slate and some of the options. What do you think is going to be what do you think the winning score is going to be with so many teams? It's got to be pretty high up there. Pete, what do you think the winning score is going to be tomorrow?
I think we're going to see a winning score of about 185 with a lot of Rockies in there. Tulowitzki hitting 2 home runs with Matt Harvey on the
Al, you want to follow that up?
Yes, I do. I'm going to go higher.
Yeah,
I think that with the bats that we have, with the pitchers that we have facing them, not a lot of really stud pitchers that are going to hold scoring down. I'm going to say that the winning score is going to be closer to 205 tomorrow. Yeah. Somebody's really going to bank a bunch of home runs and hit 2 pitchers that'll get them 50 to 60 points and really see some high totals tomorrow.
Al, you and I are on the same page because I was thinking over 200. I just think when you have over 20,000 teams or 20,000 lineups, you're going to have at least a few that are going to be over that 200 margin, and it should be a decent sweat, especially with some decent late games.
Rockies being the latest game.
Yeah.
Oh, the late night hammer.
Yeah. So. You've got the Rockies, you've got that Dodgers game, and you also have Al that you're talking about San Diego. They're playing in San Diego, so you might have some pitchers in that game. So
could be Father's Day.
Oh,
see what I did?
What? All right, guys. So that'll be it for right now. Make sure that you get into this tournament again. $50,000 goes to first place. It's a $27 entry into Tuesday's sweet spot. So make sure you're getting into that tournament. Want to thank fellow co-host Al Zeidenfeld, Al Smizzle, and Peter Jennings, aka CSU Ram, for joining me today. And I think that will be it, guys.
Bye.
Good luck, everybody.